Sorry for the very long delay. I was in Europe traveling, and then of course the games ended at 5 a.m. So it was pretty hard to make videos. And then I was in Greece, so I wasn't able to update for the finals. And then the start of summer, I've been pretty busy with stuff back home. Our kitchen's getting renovated, so that's a mess. And I've been doing a lot of stuff there and working, so, which is Canada Day, so celebrating. And, it's been hectic, but finally I have some free time before I have to go out and weed my garden, so I'm going to make this pretty brief. So, we just passed free agent frenzy. We're still in free agent frenzy weekend, but it's kind of hit a bit of a lull, and boy, what a frenzy it was. 2 days leading up to it, we had Stamkos, we had Subban, we had Subban traded for Weber, we had Stamkos resigning, we had Hall traded for Larson. On a span of 30 minutes, bam, hockey Twitter blew up. Twitter Canada said an average of like over 1,000 tweets per minute were sent about those issues. Literally imploded. It was incredible. The Penguins, of course, laughing about, how everything was normal for them. They just went about the prospect camp, which just ended yesterday. And it looks like it was pretty eventful. One of the invites was Austin Lemieux, none other than son of Mario Lemieux. Pretty cool. They had a lot of guys there that were on NHL tryouts, so we'll see if any of them made an impression. Jake Gunsel looks like he is going to be the next big thing, the next big star for the Penguins. Very strong camp, very strong playoffs with Wilkes-Barre last year. Also undersized, kind of a bit like Scott Wilson, Brian Russ in that regard, but very skilled, smart player at University of Nebraska, Omaha. Finished just 4 years, so it gave him more time to develop and learn as well. Teddy Bluger looks like another guy who could take over on the fourth line. Maybe replace Eric Fair in the future. And then you have him with Oscar Sundqvist, who looks like he might replace Matt Cullen because he has not re-signed yet, which brings us to topic 2, free agency. Penguins didn't really do a whole lot. They re-signed 5 defensemen to 1-year, 2-way deals, an average of $575,000 AAV, which is league minimum, but that's at the NHL level, so the AHL level be a lot worse. One of those defensemen was really intriguing to me, and someone I'm familiar with living in Toronto, and that was Stuart Percy, who is a former first-round pick of the Leafs in 2011, 25th overall. Same year that Tyler Biggs was also picked 22nd overall. He was not tendered a qualifying offer by the Penguins and is now a free agent. Stuart Percy, also not tendered a qualifying offer by the Leafs. That's just more because he was caught in a numbers game. You can only have 50 contracts, and the Leafs had a lot. I was disappointed they didn't sign him because I quite liked him in the Leafs, and I thought he was rushed into the NHL too early last year when he was there, 2 years ago, whenever that was. But he has a lot of potential to be a good depth guy. He's captain of Mississauga Steelheads in the OHL, so, he's got leadership qualities as well, which people are always looking for. He's also been plagued by injuries, which fits nicely into Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh is where all the injured players go. He's had a bit of a rough go in the Leafs, but I think with the right new scenario, right coach, right system, he can really turn it around. The Leafs just had too many young players, and I'm interested to see how Stuart Percy does. Most likely play in the AHL, which means he's not making a whole lot, but because he's on a 2-way deal, he doesn't have to clear waivers, which is good. So they could send him up, send him down. He wouldn't have to clear waivers, which is always nice not to have to worry about that. But it means that he probably won't be up a whole lot. Just because if there is someone who has to clear waivers, they'll probably stay there. And Derek Pouliot will probably play full-time, but Percy might be one of the first guys that they call up. Along with Steven Oleski, who's another player that re-signed. Same amount of deal. Brendan Gaunce is another guy. I don't even remember who else, but those are the 3 that kind of stuck out to me. It's Cameron Gaunce. Cameron Gaunce is the brother of Brendan Gaunce, who, was a pretty good defenseman in the OHL. Again, kind of a fringed guy, kind of tough setting and making it at this level, so we'll see what happens with him. So that was kind of the Penguins' busiest news of the day. Ex-Penguin Bo Bennett signed with New Jersey, $750,000, which is not a lot. I think it's a decrease for him. Took a bit of a pay cut, but it's a one-year, one-way deal. We'll see if he can stay healthy, and Bo Bennett had a really nice message to Pittsburgh on Twitter, and at the end he tweeted, "I did not break my thumbs typing this message," which that was clever. great sense of humor, and he was the first player to get the cup, which is nice. And he looks like he had a good time bringing it to California. So, wish him all the best in New Jersey. Just don't do too well with Taylor Hall against us, please. But I think he'll fit in nicely with Ray Shero, someone who drafted him, someone who believes in him. Again, it just was caught in a numbers game. Was not working out here when you have Brian Rust and Connor Shear and how they really broke out. And then you have Scott Wilson, who unfortunately got injured, but he'll probably stay on the team next year. The team seems to like him. And then you have Oscar Sundqvist, who's going to play if Matt Cullen doesn't come. There's just not a lot of space for Bull Bennett. So, and you can't put him on waivers because you lose them, so at least you get something for him. They got a draft pick, which they ended up drafting Connor Hall, which the team said was a stay-at-home physical defenseman, and everyone's worried he's a goon, he's a bruiser, but then at the prospect game, he scored 3 goals, so I think maybe he's not as much of a bruiser as people think. He might be more of your, like, Paul Martin, Brian Dumoulin type. Remember, Chris Letang is a very physical defenseman. That just gets overshadowed by how offensively gifted he is, but he's quite physical. So I think maybe the team was overstating his physicality, but I think he would probably be an interesting guy to watch in the future. And to the prospects, final area of note, Marc-Andre Fleury. So Calgary signed Brian Elliott, so he's not going there. That's where I thought him or Reimer would go. Reimer signed a great deal in Florida. Florida's looking like a team on the rise. Very, very smart decision-making there. Him and Luongo is going to be a fantastic 1-2 punch, and he can take over from Luongo when he's old. So unless Marc-Andre Fleury goes to Dallas, which is where Ben Bishop's rumored to go, I don't know. I don't think they're going to be moving him anytime soon, and the Penguins do not want to take on one of the albatross contracts of someone in Dallas. But they're going to have to trade him because under the laws of the CBA, they have to protect him for Vegas. And, of course, they're not losing Murray. Like, there's no way that's happening. Do you want to see Matt Murray start for the Las Vegas Black Knights or whatever they're called? No. So, I don't know how they're going to make it work, but they're going to have to make it work. Trade him somewhere. Maybe a goalie goes down mid-season. Team needs a goalie quick. They're desperate. Call up Fleury. And if a team's desperate, they might maybe offer a bit too much in that scenario because they want a goalie to get them over the hump. And then Fleury would be their guy. Obviously, Fleury would have to waive to go there, but I think Fleury knows he's not the starter in Pittsburgh now. I think if he has a chance to be a starter, I think he'll, without a doubt, waive his no move to go to a city that needs a goalie. So I'm not sure what city that would be. Toronto could potentially trade Bernier, and they have Anderson, so Fleury could go there. But again, then he's locked into a tandem with Anderson and Fleury, and then what would you do? And both him and Anderson would have no moves. So how would you can't protect them both in the expansion? So it's interesting to see what would happen. He can't go to Tampa because he would have no move, and Tampa's not going to expose Vasilevsky. So I'm not quite sure what would happen. I don't see a fit for him in Arizona because they have Mike Smith, who's not great, but they're locked into him pretty deep, and no one's taking on that contract. He's not going to be behind him. They just signed Louis Domingue. Minnesota, they have their goalies. Philadelphia, surprisingly, are working out for them. Columbus, that's a tire fire. I don't think you want to go there. So I don't really see a fit for Fleury right now. He's going to have to go somewhere. I just don't know where that is, but I think maybe they'll start the season, play it out. Teams will get desperate at the trade deadline. They're going to need a goalie, and they're going to have to move him by the deadline. So the Penguins will be desperate, teams will be desperate, and teams do all sorts of silly stuff at the deadline. Someone goes down, they'll need someone, and Fleury will go somewhere. But I'm confident with the goalies they have right now. I don't think they have to trade him right this minute. I don't know why people are saying they do. They don't. But they're definitely going to have to trade him before next year because we can't lose Murray. We also can't lose Jason Botterill, who might be the new Las Vegas GM, and Pittsburgh just re-signed Jim Rutherford to a 3-year deal. Not sure how I feel about that because Botterill's been waiting in the wings for a long time, and he is ready to go. We're seeing the impact that young GMs are making in the league now with John Chayka, who just killed it at the draft. Kyle Dubas, I know he's an assistant GM, but he runs the Marlies in Toronto, and they had a historic season last year. He ran the draft last year with Mark Hunter, and he ran it again this year. And they clearly have a very strong vision in place, and he's very, very, he knows what he's doing, and he relies on his analytics a lot. Him and Shanahan work pretty closely together, along with Lou, and he has input in a lot of the final decisions. And we're seeing as well in Tampa Bay, Julian Brisbois, who's a cap guy. He was the one that was able to make Stamkos and Hedman possible in Tampa. He's done a heck of a job there. So, Botterill is, if Botterill is get offered that job, he will go, and that's going to be a huge, huge blow for the Penguins, one they cannot afford to take. I'm not sure why they re-signed Rutherford for 3 years. I understand why, because, he won the cup and whatever, but at some point in time, he's going to have to go upstairs, and to the presidency, he can still have a big input in final decisions, but Botterill needs a GM job. He's going to have to go to the front office. I don't necessarily think he wants out, but if he's offered a job, he will take it, and he is one of the front runners for that Vegas job. So, and I think he's much more ready than he was 2 years ago when he's into for the Penguins job. Now that he's had that Stanley Cup winning experience, etc., and he's done a good job down in Wilkes-Barre, getting a lot of these young players and developing them. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But it's going to be a fascinating offseason for the Penguins and for the league, really. So please like if you like, subscribe if you really like it. Where do you think Fleury will go? Where do you think Botterill will go? Do you think Cullen will re-sign with the Penguins because he has not even re-signed yet? He'd go to Minnesota. Let me know. Put your comments in the comment box below. And I'll see you whenever something happens. Have a great summer, guys. Thanks. Bye.